All right, let's dive into something that I think we've all felt, but it's just so frustrating. We're talking about that huge, massive gap between what we want to achieve and, well, actually doing the work. Let's unpack this thing we're calling the psychological paradox of idle ambition.
You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? You've got this incredible idea, this goal that totally lights you up, this vision for who you could be. But then, when it's actually time to get down to it, you find yourself on the couch, scrolling through your phone, watching just one more episode, anything but the one thing you say you want to do. It's a really weird and honestly kind of painful place to be stuck.
So we're going to give this a name, the ambition paradox. It's this bizarre situation where our biggest dreams and our daily habits seem to be fighting against each other. And throughout this explainer, we're going to break down exactly why this happens. And here's a spoiler. It's not because you're lazy. It's way deeper than that.
And this, right here, this just lays it all out, doesn't it? On one side, you've got these incredible, inspiring goals. Write that book, start that business, all the good stuff. But on the other side is the reality of what we often end up doing. And look, this isn't about judgment. It's about diagnosis. That gap, that disconnect between these two columns, that's right where the paradox lives. So what is going on here? Why is there such a disconnect? Well, it turns out there's pretty much a civil war happening inside your brain. It's a real neurological battle between the part of you that absolutely loves to dream and the part of you that has to do the hard work. So let's meet the first combatant in this war, your brain's reward system. We can just call it the dreamer. This part of your brain gets an amazing jolt of feel-good chemicals, like dopamine, just from thinking about success. Fantasizing about crossing the finish line feels great, and you haven't even had to tie your running shoes yet. It gets a rush from the idea alone. And in the other corner, you've got the prefrontal cortex. Let's call this the doer. This is your brain's CEO, the project manager. It's the part that has to handle all the boring, difficult, and frankly annoying tasks. The planning, the focusing, the pushing through when things get tough. The doer doesn't run on daydreams. It runs on actual, disciplined effort.
But, this battle in the brain isn't the whole story. There's a deeper, more emotional layer to this. It turns out our own ego has this really powerful defense mechanism, and it's all being fueled by some deep-seated fears we might not even know we have.
And here they are, the real culprits hiding in the shadows. There's the fear of failure, which can just paralyze us. There's that crippling perfectionism that says, hey, if this can't be absolutely perfect from the start, why even bother? And then there's low self-efficacy, which is really just that quiet, nagging voice in the back of your head that whispers, you're probably going to mess this up anyway, so what's the point?
And this just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? This is the subconscious logic that keeps us stuck. It's a protective strategy. By staying in the world of dreams and avoiding the actual messy work, you keep your ego safe. That brilliant idea of yours, it stays perfect, it stays full of potential, precisely because it was never actually tested against reality, where, yeah, it might fail.
Now, this pattern isn't just a one-off thing. It becomes a habit, a really powerful self-reinforcing habit. It actually creates a feedback loop that can keep us spinning our wheels for months or even years.
Okay, let's walk through how this vicious cycle actually works. First, you fantasize about your goal. That feels good, right? It gives you a little dopamine hit, a little reward. Now, because you've already gotten a taste of that reward, it makes it so much easier to avoid the hard work. But avoiding the work eventually leads to this deep, long-term frustration, which of course sends you right back to fantasizing to feel good again. And around we go.
So, we've looked at the brain science, we've looked at the psychology, and all of this brings us to the real bottleneck. We so often misdiagnose our own problem. But once you understand the true source of the inaction, that's when you can finally start to break free.
Let's just be crystal clear on this. If you feel stuck in this paradox, your problem is not that you lack ambition. You do not need bigger goals or better dreams. You've already got plenty of those. In fact, adding more goals on top of the pile will probably just make things worse.
Here it is. If you take one thing away from this entire explainer, let it be this. The real problem, the actual bottleneck, is a low tolerance for the discomfort that comes with doing anything meaningful. It's the boredom, the frustration, the uncertainty, the struggle. That feeling is the price of admission for anything worth achieving. We're not avoiding the work itself. We're avoiding the feeling of the work. So the way forward isn't about finding some magical source of motivation or a better goal. It's about building your tolerance for discomfort like a muscle. So ask yourself this.
This isn't about finishing the whole project tomorrow. It's about what one small, productive discomfort you could choose to face today. Just one. Maybe writing one paragraph, making one call, doing one set of push-ups. That is how you break the cycle. That is how you turn that idle ambition into real, tangible achievement.